Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Soumei Daen, Soumei Cemetery here in Tokyo. We've got a bunch of kids coming by here. You'll hear them momentarily. You probably already hear them. I think those who are laid to rest here can hear them. These are the kitties. Kawaii, as they say here. How you all doing? This is one of my favorite places to come. Cherry blossoms or not. It's very peaceful, but very few people come here for the cherry blossoms, and they don't know what they're missing. So, shh, don't tell anybody. I don't want this place to get crowded. But look at these. This, folks, is 100% blooming. These are at capacity. Finally, the weatherman got his story right and said 30th, 31st, the sakura in Tokyo would be at capacity, and he was right. Or she, whoever it was, I'm not sure, but the weather person, I guess I gotta say now, the weather person. Hi, Ray. Hi, everybody. Yes, Hisashiburi. It's been a while. I have not done a stream in ages. I don't even remember the last one. But it's always a good time to stream. Hey, Jason, Carrie, everybody. Hi. Welcome. Cherry blossoms are always a welcome time for me to get out and do a little streaming. And we're just gonna walk around and I'll show you the park, or the cemetery rather. And I'm gonna read a short story. Actually, I've made a video, many of you have already seen it, a few years ago, about the corpses under the cherry trees. It's a short story written by Motohiro Kaji. He was an author during the Showa period. In 1928, he wrote this short story about the cherry blossoms, and it's great. And it's been translated by a handful of folks into different languages. And I'm going to read one by another author who I hadn't read before, and we'll read that a little bit later. So stick around. This is cool though, look at that. The blossoms are kind of entwined with this palm here. I forget the name of this. It's not sotetsu. I have one of these at our house. I've got a sotetsu, and they kind of imported them from Taiwan. And they became very popular like in the 70s and 80s here in Japan. but I think they're pretty cool. Mine's slightly different and actually looks better than this one. This one's a bit ragged. But anyhow, let's walk around here. Yeah. Yeah, Jason, loads and loads of blossoms. My favorite one is actually up here at the top of the hill, and we'll go up there too. But yeah. And I've got no mask on. Hey guys. Welcome. Sashi Booty. Hope you've all been well. It seems that the world is, well, crumbling in some parts of the world, but it seems like it's coming back to some form of normalcy for most of us. I don't know about normalcy, but it's getting better. It's getting better. Coming back into Japan now is much, much easier. And aren't those pretty? My friend Evan, he might even be watching this. Evan is an American guy, a buddy of mine, and he had ambitions to come and teach English here. Well, he got accepted, he got an English teaching gig, and then just before, I mean, literally, it might have been a day or two before he was scheduled to leave, he got a notice from the school, haha, just joking, you can't come now because of the pandemic. This was 2 years ago now. So he waited, and then there was another window, so he tried to come, and then they canceled again. And I don't know if it happened I think it was, maybe this was the third time. Well, he finally made it in. So he's here. I'm gonna see him tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing him. And he's moving to Toyama to start his English teaching job and his new life here in Japan, which I'm super excited for him because I did the exact same thing almost 23 years ago. And I know what an awesome time he is going to have here. Fresh off the boat, it's a super exciting time. I'm still excited. And I've been here almost 23 years. That's just what this place is all about. You fall in love with it, everything about it. The people, the food, the culture. This, cherry blossoms. The quiet nature of not just cemeteries, but Japan. It's just a wonderful place. And I know you guys are all excited to come back. Some of you have been here before. You're excited to come back here, and your chance is coming pretty soon, I think. This is a great shot down this road here. These trees hanging over the road here. It always kind of creeps me out because these branches. Hey Eddie, I can't. They're hanging way over here. And a couple of winters ago, one of them broke. As you can imagine, it would be pretty easy to do once it gets the weight of ice or snow on it. And they're really extending way out over that road. But they're beautiful. Yeah, this is nice. Thank you, Adam. I'm getting my glasses on. I think I said Adam. Yeah, thanks for listening to Homicide Inc. That's a good segue for me to plug the podcast. So many of you already listened to my weekly true crime podcast, Homicide Inc. And for those of you who haven't, I invite you to check it out. The link is in the description of this video. You can also find it on the Homicide Inc. website. And we cover true crime from all over the world and throughout history, current, past, and no future crimes yet, but we know this is coming. That's one thing we can rely on. There's always going to be crime, and I really enjoy it. I enjoy putting together the podcasts, recording them, and it's a fun kind of pastime for me. So I'd like you to check it out, if you would. And we don't get, it's not too gruesome. I keep it classy as true crime can be. I try to avoid anything that's in the too grotesque. I try not to kill ourselves here as I'm standing on this ledge. Try to get a close up of these and swing this around. And oh yeah. Why am I always streaming from a cemetery? Well, because I like cemeteries, and this is convenient to my house. And the cherry blossoms are absolutely phenomenal here. Yeah. Isn't that gorgeous? So last weekend was the 49th annual Tokyo Motorcycle Show. And I went. It was canceled in 2020 and 2021. And I went and I shot video for about 5 hours. And right now I'm editing. So it's gonna be a simple compared to the 2019 Tokyo motorcycle show video. But for those who like bikes, you're gonna enjoy this. There's a lot of amazing vehicles there. And it was nice to get out and be amongst people. It was kind of surreal, because I hadn't been out, and most of us haven't been out in a big crowd for a very long time. And I was able to mingle and chat, met some new people. That was nice. And one couple came up and said, he's like, excuse me, I had my mask on, of course, and I think I had this hat on, actually. He's like, by any chance, are you Peter? I was like, yeah. And I thought maybe he was a hitman or something. I'm always weary of admitting that I am me. And then, but he had a nice wife with him. She was smiling, so I was kind of at ease. And he said, yeah, we see you on YouTube. I was like, wow, really? Okay. So they'd followed me on my motovlogs, which I haven't done in well over a year now. Because I've been focused on the podcasts. So we chatted a little bit, and that was really nice to hear and to be recognized. But yeah, coming up probably this weekend, I will release that true crime podcast. I just released the latest true crime podcast was yesterday, which is actually a Japanese one, a story about a triple homicide at a grocery store on the outskirts or one of the suburbs of Tokyo. Terrible unsolved case. Yeah, so this weekend I'll probably be uploading the new motorcycle show video. So if that's something you're interested in. You ever notice how old people always do this? And I always thought how ridiculous it looks. But when you get older, you just like, who gives a crap? I don't care what people think. I don't. And I can't hear you. I know you're probably laughing, but I don't care. But this allows me to kind of see what's going on with the chats And yeah. But I definitely need to get like some prescription sunglasses. I do look kind of ridiculous. Hey Andrew, any mods to Sexy AF? I have done no more. I haven't ridden Sexy, and she's whimpering in the garage. I hear her from time to time. I have not done any modifications since you last saw, and I'm planning to ride tomorrow. I'm meeting up with my friend Evan, and I'll probably ride it to go meet him. So yeah, it's Sexy AF is more of a nice weather, and now the weather's nice. So yeah, she'll be out back in action soon. But I'm thinking about selling my big Triumph, my Speed Triple. I don't ride it as much, and I tend to ride my scooter mostly around to jobs here in Tokyo. But that said, I rode it after several months of not riding it to the Tokyo Motorcycle Show the other day, and I was like, oh man, such a great bike. Such a great bike. It's been so good to me. So I might not. I might not. All right, let's keep walking. I'm gonna take you up the hill to my favorite tree, and that's around there. We're gonna read the story. Okay? Story o kikitai no hito wa? That's what the Japanese say when. Who wants to hear a story? And then everybody says hi. And they raise their hand. So yeah, there's not a lot of trees right here, but we make our way back this way. We will get back into the blooming. I noticed John's been doing a lot of cherry blossom videos. Hi, Joy. This guy. It's the Someidaean thinker. Wow, look at that. Oh man, you're gonna freak when you see this tree. This is the showcase tree here at the cemetery. You can see it straight ahead here. It's massive. It's actually two trees that kind of blend together and creates this enormous canopy. Look at that. How about that, kids? This thing's been here a while. Yeah, it's a massive tree. Adam, are John and I going on any adventures anytime soon? No plans. Although we have a top secret thing that we've been discussing for summertime. I don't think I can disclose it yet. Maybe he's already talked about it, I don't know. But we may be taking a trip together here in Japan, and it will be a massive adventure. And I think everybody will will highly enjoy it if it comes to fruition. So we'll keep you posted on that. Jason, shh, don't blow it. Oh, was that a question? Well, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, aren't these lovely? Yesterday, it's interesting how some of these trees, they could be the same species, but they flower depending on the part of the city they're in at different times. Or it may be windier in another part of the city, so the petals fall earlier than others. I was in Iidabashi yesterday for work, and there was a big, beautiful tree there, and the petals were just getting rampaged by this wind. And it was like a blizzard. It was a pink blizzard. And everybody was freaking out and taking video of it as it was just raining these beautiful pink petals all over us. But yeah, really lovely. Well, why don't I read that story? Let's find a good place where I can sit down and show you a tree. Let me set this up. We're gonna look for a good spot. No, there is not actually. There is no aroma at all with cherry blossoms. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't take time to smell the flowers. Even if they don't reward you with a beautiful smell, you should always take time to smell the flowers. All right, let's, you know what? I am going to, we'll do it over here, actually, out of the traffic. Like I said, the beautiful thing about this park, or this cemetery, is there's just very few people. So there's no crowds like in Aoyama Cemetery is another one that's really popular. How about that? Does that look like a good spot for you guys while you listen to the story? Maybe check it right here. This might be better actually. I'm not happy with that either. Oh dear. This lady, are they in this car here? All right. This is their car. So why don't we bring it? All right, stand by, kids. We're just about ready to commence. They were getting into their car, so I didn't want to get in their way, or rather them get in my way. There's a good spot. All right, this is good enough. Okay. So, as I mentioned, I made a video a few years ago about this short story that Motojiro Kaji wrote. He was an author in the Showa period, 1928, and a very popular short story writer. And one of his best ones is a short story called Sakura no Ki no Shita ni wa. Sakura, of course, is cherry blossoms. Ki is tree, so beneath, shita, underneath the trees. So beneath the cherry trees is the translated title of this short story. And I'll just read the story rather than explaining it all to you. But I found another. That one that I read on the video was translated by a man named John Bester. And this morning I was looking through and I found another one translated by a lady named Bonnie Hui. And I like her translation as well. So I'm going to read that one to you. All right? And let's flip this back around so you can see the topic of our story. And put on my glasses. Get your popcorn out. Everybody got your popcorn? Oh, that's pretty. Okay, here comes the story. Beneath the Cherry Trees, written by Motojiro Kaji and translated by Bonnie Hui. There lie cadavers buried under the cherry blossoms. This is a truth that you must accept, for how else could the flowers of the cherry tree be so magnificent in their bloom? I spent the past several days feeling terribly ill at ease, as I was unable to accept such a beauty. But now, at last, the truth has finally sunk in. There lie cadavers buried under the cherry blossoms. You must accept this. My house is one that contains a multitude of tools and implements. So why then, from among such trinkets and baubles, did the blade of a safety razor come to me like a vision to a clairvoyant every night on my way home? You say you know not why, whereas I myself cannot comprehend it, the two of which verily amount to the same thing. A flowering tree, on the other hand, gives forth its essence when it reaches that stage known as full bloom. And in doing so, it emanates a mysterious aura comparable to the state of perfect stillness approached by a fast-spinning top, or perhaps the fleeting sensory impressions roused by a spectacular musical performance, or something like the afterglow that follows the burning act of consummation. It is this beauty, wondrous and vivacious, that never ceases to captivate the human spirit. Nonetheless, yesterday and the day before, it was the self-same thing that caused my heart to fall under an intense spell of gloom. I was unable to accept such a beauty. On the contrary, I became anxious and fell into a state of melancholy, and a feeling of emptiness overtook me. But now, at long last, I understand. You see, beneath the splendor of those cherry trees blooming in profusion, cadavers had been buried one by one, if you can imagine for a moment. Then, soon enough, you'll understand just what sort of anxiety I'd been feeling. The cadavers of horses, the cadavers of dogs and cats, and it seems the cadavers of human beings too. Rotting cadavers crawling with maggots, reeking of a most intolerable stench, all the while seeping a liquid so pure and clear. The cherry tree, as if it were the rapacious octopus, extends its roots outward to grasp. Like the feeding tentacles of the sea anemone, its roots enfold to partake of that liquid. What could form such a petal? What was behind the creation of such a stamen? I had envisioned it in a dreamlike detail. The roots had gathered silently, matter-of-factly, to siphon that pure, clear liquid into its vascular system. How you must be grimacing at the very thought. Not a very pretty way of looking at things, is it? Finally, I had come to see the cherry blossoms for what they were, and it freed me from what had been an unsettling mystery yesterday and the day before. A few days earlier, I had descended into a nearby ravine, scrambling down the rocks. There, in the splashing water, hither and thither, doodlebugs were coming into being in the manner of the birth of Venus herself. I watched them soar into the hollow, where, as you may know, they perform their beautiful mating ritual. After walking a little further, I came across something horrifying. On the banks of the river, where the shallows ought to have been, there was no such water to be seen. A brilliant shimmer, resembling an oil slick, drifted across the entire surface. You must be wondering what it was. There, the countless thousands of cadavers of doodlebugs perforated the water's surface. They lay piled in mounds, their wings curling in the sunlight, glistening like spilled oil. There, after they had finished spawning, became their grave. At the sight alone, I felt as if I had suffered a blow to the chest. In bearing witness to the gradual process of decay that appeared to be taking place in that grave of doodlebugs, I had tasted a cruel delight. There was not a single joyous thing to be found in this ravine. The warbler and the tit, the pale sunlight and saplings too, were but a distant notion. That tragic fate, it seemed to me, was unavoidable. It was then that the picture became clear in my mind for the first time. It was a counterbalance. My heart had been pining for melancholy, as if I were an evil spirit. That state of melancholy had been brought to an end, and now my mind was at peace once more. By now, your armpits must be damp with sweat, just as mine are. Nothing to be ashamed of. After all, they are certainly no stickier than... And on that note, let us conclude our melancholy. Alas, there lie cadavers buried under the cherry blossoms. As for what on earth brought about such a wild flight of fancy involving cadavers, it appears to be anyone's guess. That it may be part and parcel of the cherry blossoms is a notion I cannot seem to shake out of my head, no matter how hard I try. I believe I have thereby earned the right, like the many locals flocking to the festivities taking place under those flowering trees, to drink merrily in celebration of the cherry blossom viewing season. And there you have it. Beneath the Cherry Trees by Motojiro Kaji. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me put my paper away here and I'll be right back with you. You betcha, my pleasure, Jason. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining. And indeed, my armpits are sweaty. It's hot out today. I'm a little bit overdressed. Yeah, yeah, you saw that phone booth? It gets a lot of use. Here's another view of this. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Beautiful. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, guys. Jonathan, cheers. Mathieu Goulet, c'est va? Hey, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Nice to hear. Yeah, it was a long, short story, wasn't it? C'est va. Oui. Nice to hear. Well, we'll just do a quick little circle up this way and then call it good for today. I have a lot of things to do. It's the end of the month. March is a crazy, crazy busy narration month for those of us living here and working as narrators. March is always the big month because the production companies have to spend their budgets. The end of the fiscal year is April or March 31st. So we tend to get a lot of work and it's busy. So, but yeah, I just wanted to share these blossoms from another place in Tokyo. I know you've seen a ton. You're probably tired of cherry blossoms, but now you can never get tired of cherry blossoms. Gambarimasu. Fight them. Yeah, I am fighting. So Someidein is the northern part of Tokyo near Sugamo. And actually back here, I've been going here recently quite a bit. Right over here is a natural onsen. There's only a few in Tokyo proper where you can get real onsen water. And this one is right there. It's called Sakura Onsen. And how convenient. We got lots of sakura right here. But Sakura Onsen's a really nice hot spring place you can go, relax. There are a few baths. They're separate, men, women, of course. And it's about 1,300 yen, so maybe about $12 for all day. You can sit in the bath and there's a lounge area, tatami mats up on the top floor where you can just lay down and just relax. There's a restaurant with decent food. I won't say it's great food, but decent food. But I like going there. It's a rotemburo, meaning it's an outdoor bath. There's two rotemburo baths. One's called a silky bath, and it has all these microfoam bubbles that kind of wash the toxins out of your body. So I'm toxin free because I've been going there a lot recently. Can't find one toxin in me. But Sakura Onsen, so when you come to Tokyo next and you want to enjoy a real onsen and don't have time to go out of the city, maybe you're just here for a few days or you're on your last couple days, and you can come to Sugamo Station and go check out Sakura Onsen. Yeah, exfoliated. I am exfoliated. See, look. You can see there's no foils there. It's been exfoliated. Exfoliated. No, how do you say that? How do you say if you've been exfoliated? What are you before you're exfoliated? You're foliated? Jason, you looked that up? So again, for those of you who are just joining, we're at Sommet Infoliate. Thanks, Gabe. Clog. Yeah. Uh, we're at Sommet Cemetery near Sugamo Station. And it's a beautiful spot that very few people come to. Lots of cadavers come here, but very, very few living humans are here, which is wonderful for me because I don't really like crowds too much. Yeah, it's just it's a well laid out cemetery with lots of beautiful cherry trees, pre-foliated. How about that? Hey, Danny. Yeah, it has been a while. Hey, Christian. This looks really cool through here. Look at that. It's lovely. Yeah, I think you might be right, Christian. And I spend a fair amount of time here, so I should be getting smarter one of these days. Wow, look at that. This is like the ideal Hanami spot. So of course, Hanami is looking at flowers. It's the drinking. It's an excuse to have drinking parties for the locals. And ideally, you want to be under the cherry trees. And right here, I just found the absolutely best spot. Set up your tarp right here, and directly above you is this beautiful canopy of trees. Look at that. This is like the $1 million spot right here. People be fighting fisticuffs to reserve this spot. But there's nobody. And oddly, I mentioned earlier, the Aoyama Cemetery is super famous for the cherry blossoms. It's a huge, huge cemetery. It's in the area of Aoyama and Akasaka and Omotesando, that area. But it's always hugely crowded, and people set up their tarps amongst the cherry trees and the grave markers, but nobody comes here. And it's not that you can't, but for some reason nobody comes to this place. They always go to where everybody else is going. So we benefit from that. It's a nice shot. Look at those branches like veins. That's amazing. Look at that. Is that just me, or does that look really cool? Yeah, 47 Ronin, great story. And actually, I have plans to do a podcast on 47 Ronin. But it's such a long story, it's hard to find an abridged version of that story. I've looked, and if I did do a podcast, it would have to be a multi-part podcast. But it's a great story, 47 Ronin. Sengakuji is where the 46 actually committed seppuku, and that's down near Tamachi Station here in Tokyo, Mita Tamachi. Really cool place to go visit, Sengakuji shrine there. But yeah. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, that was quite a job getting that for the opening ceremony. That will by far be the biggest, people reach-wise, the biggest job of my career, unless I do another Olympics, which probably will not happen. Hey, Alex. Yeah, I enjoyed doing the coffee kind of reviews and taking you around to different coffee shops, but yeah, I don't think I'll be doing that anymore. Um, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. I did, recent Fukushima monologue too. So that's a wonderful documentary about a gentleman, Matsumura-san. He lived in the Fukushima area, and when the nuclear power plant exploded after the earthquake in 2011, everybody was told to evacuate a 20-kilometer radius around the nuclear power plant. And he refused to leave because of all the animals that people had to abandon. So he was the only person in that area to remain, and he's still there after more than 10 years now. He is still the sole person who is living there and caring for hundreds of animals. It's a great documentary. Check out Fukushima Monologue. do a search on that, and NHK World, you can see it live streaming for free. I'm not sure if the first one is still available, but the second one we just finished a couple months ago, and it's up for a year. And it was up for an award, the Jackson Wildlife Awards. It was one of the finalists, and so I was super proud of that documentary. We didn't win, but we were up the top. I think the top 3 or 5 at the end, and with some heavy hitting documentaries and world-renowned narrators. Sir David Attenborough was my competition, so yeah, it was big and a great story, but sad. He's single. He's divorced. He has a couple of kids. I think his wife was a Filipina, and she left with the kids in the 90s. I don't know if they went back to the Philippines or not, but he was living on his own, and he decided to take in these animals, and he started feeding them, and I mean, hundreds of animals, not just domestic animals. We're talking cows and chickens and pigs, farm animals. There was also an ostrich running around that he was feeding, because the ostrich was the mascot for the TEPCO nuclear power plant. And they had this ostrich on their property. And after the explosion and the evacuation, they turned all these animals loose. So we had this ostrich wandering around. He fed it, and it was interesting. Hey, Brian. Interesting about the ostrich. The reason why they had an ostrich as their mascot is because ostriches only require a small amount of food, yet they can be this very powerful animal. They grow very big, lots of muscle, and it's similar to nuclear energy. Very, very small amount of, what is it, plutonium or whatever, that creates this massive amount of energy. These small atoms can create this incredible amount of power and energy. So that's kind of how they chose the ostrich as their mascot. It was a similar, metaphorically similar. But yeah, check out Fukushima Monologue. You can stream that, NHK World. Well, we could do this all day, but I know you guys have lives, and I should probably go and get my son some lunch and take care of some other business. So, thank you for joining me. Hope you got enough cherry blossoms for this year. I know between this and John's multiple cherry blossom streams, you've certainly had your fill. You betcha, Juju. My pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining me. And be sure and check out Homicide Inc., my true crime podcast. The link is in the description of this video. I try to do them weekly. Sometimes we're a little behind schedule, but pretty much every week, a new compelling true crime story. Be sure and check it out. Caro, sorry, you'll have to watch the playback. Thanks, Carrie. Yes, audio, mata ato de. Yeah, Joji went to his friend's graduation. Last week, Joji graduated, but his friends, a couple of his friends couldn't graduate because of COVID. So he's going to see a few of his classmates graduate today. Yep. All right, guys. Here's my ride today. Ain't she a beaut? Cheers, Eddie. All right, bye, guys. Give you a final backdrop here. We'll catch you all again soon. Bye-bye. Maybe, if I don't get hit by this car. See ya.